go, folks. Welcome to the Roofing with Jeza podcast. Just walking through the balmy forest again. Today's topic, something's come up today about my family dog. It's a little bit sad. I think it's going to be put down. And I just want to talk about this idea of love because I think this is what dogs in particular do. They show kind of us humans, like, I think no one sort of thinks about this, but they indirectly show us why they show us the purpose of pets and animals. And kind of, I think it's like when you have a dog, you see something that loves you unconditionally, and then you love it back unconditionally. And there's this beautiful bond that doesn't have any agenda. And so people get to feel what it's actually like to love and have no strings attached. Now, of course, we get this sometimes with partners and a little bit with our kids. But obviously, in a very, very occasionally with someone else other than our family. But obviously with humans, there's more complications. Humans have a memory of things. They hold on to emotions. I spoke to someone yesterday and it's interesting. She said, I don't like the way you did that. Someone did that to me. Blah, blah, blah. So it's fine, like I'm not judging her, but it's just interesting how, so we hold on to something that happened in the past, we bring it into the current situation, we create that environment in the current situation, and this can be something meaningless, but we bring that in. Whereas a pet, like a dog, I'll focus on dogs. But like a dog will not have that memory. Like, so sometimes a dog will have a memory of not feeling safe, and it will keep that memory and it will act like it's happening in the present, but it won't create an emotional story around it. It won't have this story about being done wrong or whatever. It might just think, okay, this isn't safe. But it'll never harbour a resentment or a story. It's quite interesting. So I think the things that a pets and dogs does is it teaches us how beautiful this thing of unconditional love is. So something interesting, anyone who knows me knows I tend to get addicted to stuff. And one of the things I get addicted to is coffee. I'll stop and I'll start. And, whatever. And anyway, so I bought this coffee machine and then I thought, this is just fueling my addiction too much. So I started kind of like using up some of the coffee and it makes incredible coffee. And people would say, well, before I continue, someone might say, well, can't you just moderate it? And it's like, not really. Well, it is possible. But anyway, so what I started doing was giving coffee to people in my complex. Like people I liked, but I start giving coffee to them. And it's quite funny how there's now a bond with all those people. So all those people kind of smile at me a lot now. They like me, and I like them. I mean, I always did, but before that I was just another person and they were kind of indifferent. But now almost all of them like me and smile every time, and it's just a funny thing because I wasn't trying to get anything out of it. I just thought, look, I might as well share the addiction. And it's a funny thing because I sold this machine. And as crazy as it is, I'm 50-50 on whether to buy it new again, just because I had so much kind of joy and connection out of making coffees for people. And you would think that, like, it was such a small thing. You know, these coffees would have cost me like $1 per coffee. And it brought so much joy to people, having someone who just brought them a coffee without any strings attached. It's quite incredible. And it's had a permanent shift in the dynamic. Something that there was nothing there, it was indifference. Well, no obvious sort of anything. And now suddenly there's this connection just over a few coffees. You know, it's funny how sometimes when people get well off, the next kind of social ladder thing is to do something philanthropic, which nothing wrong with that in itself. It may or may not be genuine. You know, with some it probably is, with some it isn't. Sometimes it's a mix. But it's really funny how if you offer kindness to people, genuine kindness with no strings attached, the amount that gives you back is quite incredible. It's just really quite incredible how something so simple could give so much back. And it's almost for free. Like, you know, I don't know how much I would have spent. You know, maybe $30 or $40 in total, like across all the people. No, not that there's that many people, I think it's 3 actually. But it's funny how, like, what a difference that made. Like, in terms of connection. Like, it's really quite incredible how profound something so simple and so easy, like, it costs almost nothing, and what it gave back was so strong, like, it was so much more than what it cost. And the cool thing about it for me is that I know there was no strings attached. I just felt like doing it. And it's funny how sometimes in my life I've held back from giving because I've thought other people will interpret this wrongly. So I wanted to give, I didn't have an agenda, but I held back. I've done that so many times. And it's kind of crazy. And more I just think, fuck it. You know, you can perceive this how you want. And sometimes even the person you're giving it to will be cynical. What a tragedy that is. But at the end of the day, if you really are giving it sincerely, and you're not giving it to get something, then it doesn't matter. So yeah, so this is the end of my topic on love. So let's do a little meditation on love. And so just breathing in. Notice how your body feels. Now, what's something you could do in your life that would bring love to you or someone else? Particularly if it's something that there's no strings attached. In other words, someone where there's no kind of messy history. You know, there's just someone almost where you've got a clean slate is preferable, because that means your slate is clean too. You know, there can be subtle motivations sometimes when you give stuff, but I'm saying to yourself or anyone else, what is an act of love you could do that you would feel joy from, no matter what the result is, no matter whether they like it or not, or whatever, or you would just feel good about it, where it doesn't need to, you don't need to get anything from the situation. The only thing you're getting from it is the feeling and the joy of giving. So what would be that thing? So breathe in, and whoever comes, whatever face you see, could be your own, whatever comes, the first thing. So now that you have that, just imagine the feeling you'll get from this, just that giving thing, and how nice that feels. You know, life is passing us all by. And if you accumulate these moments, life is a beautiful thing and a simple thing. One of the joys I have about travel is just the simple interactions I have. Just talking to a cab driver, hearing about their life, being present with what they feel. And then we disappear and that's the end of that. Or sometimes I might meet someone in the park and have a fun interaction. And then they disappear. But it felt good. You know? Have a joke with a stranger and they left with a smile. Crazy Australian. So notice how the thought of this idea makes you feel good. And can you let go of having it turn out anyway and just enjoy the feeling of giving? And notice how, as you give, notice how it gives as much to you, the feeling, as it does to the other person, if not more. And let this idea and this feeling of love come into your day. And make a decision to try it. Make a decision to let go of what other people might think, or even what you might think. You know what your intent is, and just let yourself feel that and let yourself enjoy that. And enjoy that feeling, that little feeling of love that you get from that in your day today.